I know the limitations. I was just looking at a like a language of
Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday, October 21st, and if everyone could just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mayor Gary Wallace.
Present.
Catherine Price Engelhardt. Present. Helen Lawhol, present. Melissa Johnson is no longer on council. Marie Kelso.
Present.
Dennis Kinney.
Present.
Andrew Lubin.
Present.
Luke McKee.
Present.
Scott Robinson.
Present.
And our borough manager, Mr. Dillon is present, and our borough solicitor.
Scott Holbert on behalf of Flagrant Associates.
Everyone here is accounted for. Some community announcements. Well, first of all, very exciting and very happy to welcome Police Officer Matthew Morse and his family. So, Mr. Mayor, you will do the swearing in. So we will do the swearing in of him. You're starting tonight, right? You're starting 7:05? Oh, okay. All right. How old is your son? 7. Aw. Welcome.
Bring up my Bible. You want to do another community announcement? I'll run back and grab it.
Okay. We're going to have to wait. We're getting a Bible. That's okay. I'll go on with the Halloween policy. As everyone knows, Halloween is coming up. And just as a reminder of the policy, trick-or-treating is annually on October 31st from 8 p.m. All children under 16 years of age until 8 p.m. All children under the age of 16 shall be accompanied by a responsible adult. Please obey all traffic limits. Watch for the children walking, especially the ones that are just in their dark costumes. If you're going to a party, please remember to designate a sober driver. Tips for the parents: buy or make brightly colored costumes. I was somewhere actually, and these were for dogs actually, and they had reflectors where you could hang around your neck. So I would suggest maybe looking into something like that. Provide a flashlight or a glow stick for the children. Always accompany children when they are trick-or-treating and remind children to pay attention to their surroundings. Tips for the kids: walk instead of run when crossing the streets. Look both ways when approaching cars before stepping off the curb, and walk on sidewalks whenever possible. Residents are cautioned not to permit anyone into their homes unless they know the identity of such a person. Conversely, children and parents are cautioned not to enter anyone's home unless they know the residents, and then only if they have permission of a parent or the guardian. I don't know if anybody saw that horrible newscast about the woman, I think it was down in South Jersey, where trick-or-treaters were trying to enter her home. It's very scary sometimes with kids in masks. So now the mayor is back. So we shall continue with the swearing in.
We have all this time, I forget the Bible. So, very nice to meet you. Hi, how are you? Hi. What's hold? You want to hold? Okay, you stand on this side right here, okay? There you go. Yep. And then you'll put. I can swap over. Sorry. I, and then just repeat after me here. All right.
I, Matthew Morse,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
to support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth.
and that I will discharge the duties
And I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. Thank you. Good job. High five. Great job. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. We're going to grab a quick photo if council wants to come behind.
Okay, next is the Cloverleaf site remediation. Construction is anticipated to begin November of 2025. This is just construction related to the site cleanup, and no development has been approved. Do we have somebody here to talk about it?
Kurt can mention it.
Kurt, do you want to mention a little bit more?
Sure, thank you. Just an update on expanding on what Helen described there is the site is known to have a landfill beneath it, and it's been a target for redevelopment for a very, very long time, as I think most people know. And this is a first step toward redevelopment. There's no building of any facilities or homes or structures. This is just site remediation. So the borough has reviewed and issued permits to allow the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority and its partner in this to go out, and they're going to clear the trees, and they're going to, not all the trees, but some of the main area of the site, they're going to clear the trees out, and they're going to do soil remediation that ultimately consists of like filling over top of the existing soil with new clean fill. And that's going to get it through a layer of permitting with the Department of Environmental Protection. So they're issued to begin work. They have all the necessary Conservation District permits and approvals in place, DEP permits and approvals in place. The borough conducted a pre-construction meeting with the entities involved and the Conservation District. So they're planning on beginning work, no certain date, but it'll probably be early to mid-November. So you'll see heavy equipment going in there, clearing trees out, a lot of earthwork. They'll basically have the whole thing stripped of all the grass, and they'll be importing some soil to achieve what they gave us as a final grading plan with elevations. They have some stormwater management they're putting in. You know, we looked at the planned work to make sure that there won't be any like increased stormwater runoff or things of that nature. So we just wanted to give everybody a heads up when they see things happening out there in the next few weeks. That's specifically what is occurring. And that's separate to, you know, the presentation that council had recently seen related to developers' intent to construct residential homes. That's a whole separate process. It'll probably take, you know, months or longer, and maybe well into next year, even if there's, you know, favorable reaction from council to approve something like that. Just by the time those permits all are in place, it'll go into next year before any new homes or anything affiliated with that could begin.
Do you know how long this will take, the remediation?
This time of year, you know, weather kind of plays a role in it. If you start getting wet weather, it's difficult to do earthwork. So a few weeks to a few months, or
Okay.
it could drag into the springtime. Again, kind of depending on how well Mother Nature behaves.
Okay. Council, any questions for Kurt? Okay. And just to clarify, the site remediation is separate, and the plans that were presented to council last month are separate. One is not contingent on the other.
Yeah, and it's a project being championed by the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority. There's no funding involved coming out of the borough's, you know, budgets. A lot of it's being funded through state grant funding specific to remediating sites like these.
Perfect.
Weren't we granted that money years ago for this project? Or is that just recent?
The borough, it's a good question. I actually don't know how the funding came through, whether the borough had to be the sponsor, or whether it went right to the Bucks County Redevelopment
I
Authority.
thought it was redevelopment, but I could be wrong.
It went to the redevelopment
Did it?
authority.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
How long, Kurt? This has been about 30 years that land has stood vacant, right? Projects have come and gone and nothing has ever
In my
happened.
tenure, there was projects in play to potentially be built there, but none of them have been able to come
Right,
to a point of anything starting construction. So this is actually a big step to seeing something happening there.
right. And if nothing else, at least we'll clear out that field.
Right, and get the thing remediated so some future developer can come in and, know that it can meet the, DEP, the state regulates all the health standards for sites like these, the municipal planning code and the zoning ordinance and all that's for land use. You can manage that, within the guidelines of what municipalities can manage. But as far as like the health and the permitting related to site remediation, that's exclusively in the hands of DEP at
Right.
the state level.
And they'll make sure everything is copacetic.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, council? No? Okay. Thanks, Kurt. We'll hear from you later. The MMA pump station sketch plan, we have John Morinda, Director of the Morrisville Municipal Authority here. And just for the public's knowledge, the sewer plant will be leaving Morrisville and moving down to the old steel mill, now known as Keystone Industrial Park. And
That's the plan.
that's the plan. So there's a lot of things that have to happen before that occurs, and one of the things is building a pump station, and John is here to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. Because Jane Berger's here tonight, I was going to begin with a short history of sewage collection and treatment, beginning with the early Roman Republic, but we won't do that. We've been planning now for a period of over 10 years to design and build a new wastewater treatment facility, a new sewer plant. Part of the process requires us to build a pump station, and that's what we're going to present to you tonight. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds because this isn't the time or place for it, but just so you know, the existing sewer plant is over 70 years old. It was built in the early to mid 50s. Since that time, we've had several expansions during which it's gone from a 2.5 million gallon a day facility to what is currently licensed at 7.1 million gallons a day. Its hydraulic capacity is a little higher than that, but the truth is that it's woefully inadequate for a lot of needs technologically and otherwise. In 2015, we were at the end of a cycle of receiving certain violation notices from DEP, as a result of which we ultimately executed what's known as a consent agreement for civil penalties and produced a corrective action plan in the form of a feasibility study that Pannoni Associates authored in November of that year, November 2015. Again, as I said, there's a lot of background, but the bottom line is that we ultimately came up with the plan to move the sewer plant out of the borough of Morrisville to a piece of property that we now own at the former U.S. Steel Fairless Works site. The total distance is about 5 miles overall, and it requires the construction of a dedicated pump station at the current site in order to ship the sewage by force main downriver. The plans that we have looked at, and our engineer Josh Fox will give you an insight into those probably as part of his presentation. We've come up with one final design. We're not asking the council to do anything tonight except to be aware of what we're doing, because it has to go in front of the Borough Planning Commission and also the Falls Township Planning Commission before we get to the point of actually building anything. But it's essential that we start at the beginning, and the pump station is the beginning. So with that, I'm going to introduce the project engineer, our project engineer and principal consulting firm is HRG Engineers, and their principal is Josh Fox, who's flown in from Harrisburg just for this purpose. It might take a minute to get set up, and I apologize for having the television to the backs of people. It's Helen's fault. I did ask.
Everything is always my fault.
I did ask where we might put it. I hope this works for everybody. If you don't mind, I'm going to sit in one of these chairs so I can see the screen. Thank you.
It's the season, isn't it?
You don't want to watch NBA, but.
No. Maybe we do. Baseball's not.
Very good. I'm going to try to navigate this from the podium so that hopefully everybody can hear me. I think we got it. So that's fine. Sure. Yep. If I lose my laptop, maybe I'll get a new one. That's a little updated. So thank you for the introduction, John. As John mentioned, I'm Josh Fox with Herbert Roland Grubik. We were selected as the engineering consultants to lead the wastewater treatment plant design and construction. You'll also meet my colleague who will be here in subsequent meetings, Corey Adams, who will help us walk through the zoning amendments that we'll be requesting through planning and ultimately through the council, as well as the preliminary and final land development plan approval for the pump station. As John mentioned, we're really here today to provide an update on the wastewater treatment plant project, really specifically focused on the pump station that'll be constructed within the borough. So I haven't been involved in the project over the 10 years that John mentioned. We've been engaged with the Morrisville Municipal Authority for, I believe, about 20 months now. We've been working with the authority and with Pannoni on the project and moving the project forward. Through that time, we've been able to complete the planning, which has been presented by Pannoni to the Planning Commission, which I believe your engineer will be speaking on tonight. We've also been able to move forward with what we call a 30% or conceptual level design, and up to and including our 60% design. We are ready to submit all of our environmental permits, which there are over 9 different permits required for this project, as well as a multitude of different environmental clearances that we have to obtain. We're in the process of obtaining clearance for all of those throughout the entire site, which includes both the site we'll be discussing tonight, as well as the 5-mile length of force main that John mentioned, as well as the new construction at the former Fairless Hill site and a new outfall into the Delaware River, which, as you can imagine, requires a lot of environmental clearances to be able to do. With all that said, we are planning, our tentative schedule is to submit for PennVest financing. That's really one of the major drivers of being here tonight, to provide you guys with an update so that when we do come in front of the council for zoning amendment change, or zoning amendment and or change, and for preliminary and final land development approval, that won't be the first time you hear of a status of the project. We will need that to secure PennVest funding, which will ultimately really help kind of drive the project forward and keep the rates as low as possible for the residents. Additionally, we are looking at a September 2026 deadline for having plans and specifications ready for bidding. Of course, that'll be contingent upon receiving all of those permit approvals and upon PennVest financing, but kind of gives you the schedule for what we're looking at in terms of the overall project. And a project of this magnitude will likely take between 2 and 3 years for construction. So with all that said and all the background, let's talk about the picture here in front of you. It is zoomed out on purpose. I kind of wanted to talk about where this is at within the borough. I'm sure you're all familiar with the existing wastewater treatment plant site. This site that we're specifically talking about takes up 2 parcels that are owned by the municipal authority that are just to the north of the existing wastewater treatment plant site. So if you go on and you look at the different parcels, there's a multitude of parcels that make up what is now the existing wastewater treatment plant site. That is approximately 13 acres. There's 2 additional, and I should say, those parcels combined are zoned CS1, which allows for government use, and in our case, a wastewater treatment plant. You have Delaware Avenue that basically cuts the map that you're looking at in half. You have South Delmore Avenue on the right, along with the river. And then you'll see our projected site, which is all the bold, and I'll zoom in here in a second and highlight what that is. Those two parcels that the pump station is located on includes about 3/4 of an acre parcel and a 2.35 acre parcel. Those are currently zoned residential. Across the street is actually a parcel that the borough owns. So if you know where Delaware Avenue ends, that right-of-way extends all the way through to South Delmore Avenue. Those are what we'd call paper streets, right? Streets that have not been opened but still exist within the parcel boundaries of the borough. That lot to the north is owned by the borough, and that is also zoned CS1. So what we were able to do is we worked with the borough manager, borough staff, and your borough engineer, and we developed 5 different alternatives for the pump station location. The goal of the 5 different alternatives was to find not only the most cost-effective alternative, but one that provides really the best future land use planning as possible for the borough. The authority's intent is to provide that wastewater treatment plant site back for redevelopment, to get back on the tax roll for the borough at the end of a successful project where we have a new wastewater treatment plant in Falls Township and a new pump station to be able to convey all that flow that's currently going to the wastewater treatment plant, those 5 miles down to that new site. So out of those 5 alternatives, there was 4 that were located in and around these properties, and 1 that was located down along Post Road. Through the process of reviewing those different alternatives, we all agreed that the alternative that was best to move forward with, that provided the best, again, future land use of contiguous properties to the borough is the one you have here. And I'm going to go mobile here, see if. Thank you. So I can kind of point these different things out. Again, you have Delaware Avenue, Riverview, that intersection that you guys are all familiar with. The entrance to the wastewater treatment plant is through the Riverview Avenue, which again is a paper road right now, but is a private driveway that's being used to enter the existing wastewater treatment plant. If you were to continue towards the river, these 2 dark lines here are the right-of-way lines. That would be Delaware Avenue if it was extended all the way to South Delmore Avenue. In our discussions and through collaboration, we wanted to be able to maintain that street for future use should there be a need to extend it to access South Delmore Avenue, should there be a need to create a street at South Delmore Avenue. That provides access to both the borough property and still provides adequate access to the pump station site. It also does not take away the use of Riverview Avenue for any future land use that would be at the existing wastewater treatment plant parcel. The other thing we wanted to be able to maintain through our collaboration was basically a 200-foot buffer between the right-of-way of South Delmore Avenue and the existing fence line. You will see that we do have some improvements within that 200-foot buffer. That is a rain garden for stormwater management purposes. But we all acknowledge that if there was any future land use that was utilized within the existing wastewater treatment plant site, we could certainly move that rain garden and again, collaborate and work with that developer for overall stormwater control for the area. It's important to note that the site, we are actually recessed in elevation. So as you come from left to right from our residence, from Gary Matthews' property, moving towards the river, we drop between 2 feet and 11 feet. So it is a recessed site, so it improves visibility right over the site. We are projecting this to be, or proposing this project to be, a split face block, so a decorative style block with a mixture of concrete as well as architectural accents. The idea is that we're going to be using a blue and gray kind of color scheme to match the authority's logo, which will also tie nicely into the wastewater treatment plant site, more of a branding for the authority and for clean water. The building itself will contain not only the electrical switchgear that'll run the pumps, which will be able to pump our average flow of about 2.5 to 3 million gallons a day of sewage up to 20 million gallons a day of sewage via a 36-inch diameter force main. So this is a very large pump station, very important piece of critical infrastructure for the borough. As part of this pump station, we will have a Pico transformer pad where we'll be getting power underground from the intersection at Riverview and Delaware Avenue into our site. We'll have emergency backup generators, diesel-powered generators on site, and we'll also have odor control. We thought that was an important part of the overall project. Just for comparison purposes, the existing wastewater treatment plant doesn't have odor control. So here we'll be able to have odor control, carbon absorption unit that essentially takes away any nuisance odor. So the idea is between the project being recessed, having a good architectural facade, having a nice landscaping buffer, and being able to provide odor control, that really will blend in nicely with the community and again provide that critical piece of infrastructure really to serve the borough over the next 100 years. So that's really what we wanted to present this evening, and I wanted to open up for any questions that the council may have.
I know it's complicated and there's a lot going around, but just like a simple question, if I lived within a quarter mile of that, when this is all done, is it going to change my life?
No.
Okay, and it's necessary. We have to have it.
It's absolutely necessary. So as John mentioned, there is a consent order and agreement that requires the authority to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
So when the feasibility study was done, there was a lot of effort put into, does it make sense to upgrade the wastewater treatment plant, knowing that it's 70-year-old tanks and buildings?
And it makes sense for us to cooperate with something that needs to be done to make everybody's life better. Okay, that's simple. At that rain garden, will that be a mosquito breeding pit or not? That's my only concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully not.
Hopefully isn't. Hopefully, I hope I win the lottery.
Yeah.
It's like I hope I don't get bit by mosquitoes.
So it's not considered a wet pond.
Okay.
So what it would be is a mixture of wetland plants, wildflowers, things that absorb a high amount of water.
Okay.
So one of the things that we still have to do is originally we had the site more to what you'd see plan right, closer to the river. Mm-hmm. And through that coordination collaboration, we've moved it to the location that you see today. Because of that, we do have to go back and do some additional soils testing for infiltration purposes. So that rain garden may get a little bit larger, may get a little bit smaller based on those infiltration rates. But the idea is that any storm that we get to the requirements of the Saldo, we're able to infiltrate that quickly now, in that location.
I'm not an engineer or I'm not in your business, but so if we're worried about stormwater and water runoff, wouldn't being right next to a river be like the best place to not have to worry about that?
Yeah, so it is a little bit more complicated than that. The Saldo actually requires us not to discharge that what we call captured warm water runoff directly to the river. Our goal is to infiltrate it back into the ground, which obviously being so close to the river will not take long for it to get there. But there is essentially thermal concerns. So infiltrating in the ground allows it to cool and then naturally go back into the river.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions. Anybody else?
I know. You said you guys are going to go to bid on September 26th or around that?
September 2026.
Yeah.
Yep. That is the goal. That's what we're driving towards.
Do you have a goal for when you're going to award, or?
So yeah, hopefully, and it's going to depend on the Penvest financing and making sure that we do get the financing deal that we need. The project will most likely be awarded either around this time or early November in 2026.
And 2 to 3 years from there, basically, for construction. Okay, thank you.
And it is a challenging project. We'd love to be able to stage it and build the pump station first and then the force main and the wastewater treatment plant. But unfortunately, you need all three of those pieces in conjunction for it to be able to work. A wastewater treatment plant without getting the stuff there doesn't work, and a pump station without somewhere to send it to doesn't work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Great job. Could you hand me that piece of paper? The paper with the sign-in sheet? Okay, a lot of exciting stuff happening. Just a reminder, the police are having a trunk or treat and a movie at Borough Hall this Thursday in a couple days from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Additionally, we have a library update a little bit. As you know, we at the last meeting, we asked if the county would take over the library. We did receive note that they would not, but we are having a meeting with them on October 31st to discuss possibilities of how they could possibly help us. To see what initiatives we could implement, or it is what it is. I would like to add that it's a little discouraging when you sit here and you try to figure out how to get extra money or try to figure out better ways of running things. And the first thought is that everybody has that starts spreading rumors is, they're closing the library, when in reality, we're just trying to figure out how to utilize tax dollars better and try to serve the community better. But I guess that's just human nature. And then on another sad note, the Winterfest parade last year, it was done by Imagine Morrisville's, one of Imagine Morrisville's persons. I forget who was that. Does anybody remember? Audrey. I'm sorry, I just lost her name. Unfortunately, she is unable to do it this year, and so the Winterfest parade is canceled unless someone in the audience would like to volunteer, and I'm sure that Audrey would be happy to give you her notes in order to do it. I know it's kind of last minute. It's 2 months from now. So as of now, the Winterfest parade is canceled. The engineering report. We are going to talk about the Delaware River Boating and Recreation Facilities Feasibility Study. Everyone got a copy in the council delivery, so I hope everybody read it. It's very interesting and exciting.
Yes, thank you. It is exciting to present this this evening. This is what I would say is the first step in really trying to formalize an approach toward getting better access to the water side of the Delaware River. This focuses in the water, not like on the land side so much. But what we had set out to do is we did a hydrographic survey, as you know, several months ago. That was commissioned. It took a while to get the right conditions to get that survey completed. It's done by a small boat that has depth finders, if you will, to identify during low tide what the water depth is. So we have that. That's an exhibit to this report. Not unexpectedly, it's shallow. We know it's shallow out until a channel that exists in the more the center of the river, a couple hundred feet, maybe 200 feet out from the water's edge is where that channel exists. So what we went through with this study is just gave some information, some basic background information, those findings. We went into some detail as to what type of amenities could exist. As you know, the tide fluctuates, so during low tide, there's not a lot of water depth, but obviously most of the day, that water level's up higher, especially during high tides. So, as it stands now, we're not necessarily able to just go out and begin constructing, say, a facility like what Bristol Borough recently has constructed. That was more of a water depth that was conducive for motorized vessels. There is a potential to build something like that. It would just require dredging and removal of that riverbed material to get at least a 3 or 4 foot depth in order to take motorized vessels. And that could be done in the immediate area around whatever facility is constructed, and like a identified channel out to the main channel in order to navigate with large vessels. So that's like the extreme, right? And then there's a full spectrum of other ideas that could be implemented from that, picture like the Bristol Borough type facility all the way to, just outlooks, things that you can build out into the water to get, nature seekers or photographers, walkers could congregate there. You can incorporate landside features like trails and other amenities. And then, additionally, there could be structures like sections where the trails go out into the water. That's an example outlined in this this report. And there's other needs too that we're aware of. Canoe and kayak launch areas is very popular. A lot of people look for destinations where they can come and spend the day using small watercraft like canoes and kayaks. And we have an example of what that could look like in this report. And then we also are aware that there's an interest for the emergency services to have an ability to launch their vessels for emergency situations. And those types of boats don't need the type of depth that, say, a recreational motorboat would require. So this is, like I said, it's a first step. It documents, memorializes what exists out there today. We did find that the water edge, between the canal, the channel and the shoreline is pretty consistent. There wasn't any area along the limits, which is from, basically the Trenton Makes Bridge down to the limit of the borough, which is East Post Road. So pretty consistent water depths throughout. But it's a good first step. It gives you a baseline for what is there. It gives you an opportunity to pursue any of these features or amenities or facilities that you ultimately may want to pursue. It gives you an opportunity if and when, and there are several grant programs that exist now that could fund some of these facilities. So this would be it shows that you've done your due diligence, you've prepared for taking the next step, and then when those opportunities are pursued, you can utilize this information as that basis for those grant applications to score the high points that these grant programs look for in order to fund projects like these. So, you can look through it. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us on it. But we're excited to present this today. I think it gave us a lot of good, clear information of what opportunities exist.
Thank you, Kurt. Anybody on council have any questions? So I know that Kurt, you and I have discussed the study, and there's a lot in there. I mean, just even deciding which option to take or multiple options to take. So one of the conversations that Kurt and I had was to create a committee in order to start looking at the options, start looking at to see what people are interested in, if anything, to see what could be feasible, what's not feasible, the grants that are available, costs, et cetera. So dredging, I think, is the first decision this council has to make is, do you want to dredge in order to build a wharf similar to Bristol? That has a huge price tag. And if not, dredging is one of the other options, like creating a walk along the water or creating a kind of pier going out or just a small dock for canoes. Is that something that would want to be done? So is there anyone on council, and you could send me an email that would be interested in such a thing, and if anybody in the public would be interested, let me know, and we'll try to figure out which direction we'll go from there. But council has to think about this. Are you interested in dredging, or are you just interested in just creating kind of a recreational facility? Did I sum that out, Kurt?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And it's a full spectrum and anything in between. And I would not eliminate the thought of someday having a full motorized boat vessel facility here. We've, as you've heard me say before, we've been a part of Bristol Borough's recent, transformation, and I sat at many council meetings where, say the audience felt that that's not realistic. That'll never happen. And I can say not only did it happen, but the borough has actually secured additional grant funding within the last 12 months to expand the facility because it's always filled. So we just heard a presentation from the municipal authority today about their riverfront property that hopefully soon will be vacated for potential future redevelopment. There's other large parcels, industrial parcels located within a small borough setting that 100 years ago made great sense. Today may not make great sense. And maybe that underutilized industrial land someday becomes available for redevelopment opportunity. And now you're introducing private sector funding that could help to achieve some of these visions. So again, this report is something that I think should not be put on a shelf. It should not be ignored. It's something that should be chipped away at, whether it's starting small, but always thinking big. And you never know what can happen in the future.
I agree.
I'm with you too, actually, and I think that's responsible, Helen, to create a committee and see how we move forward. I think the boating thing is the best thing. I think it could really revitalize Morrisville as a whole, with having that traffic then coming in and all the great things that we've been doing. So this is excellent news. Thank you.
Yes.
So Mr. Dillon just said to me that we will, on the TV channel, we will put a link to where this study is. We are going to have it available to the public. This is not proprietary. Well, it's proprietary to Morrisville, but it is welcome for the public to review. We'll leave a copy at the library. There will be a copy also down in Borough Hall, and you can also view it on the website. So we'll get all that together so that anyone who is interested in reading it has the opportunity to do that. Okay, Kurt, anybody else on this? Okay. Kurt, go ahead. Borough Act 537 plan. That just sounds so bad.
You heard about that tonight. I don't think there's much to comment. That was what Mr. Wendo from the MMA was describing. That's something that you will see in front of you in your packets next month. The 537 plan is required to be advertised. It went to the Borough Planning Commission this month, and it'll be before you next month for your consideration. That is basically like this high-level plan on how sewage treatment is conducted in Morrisville. And you heard about the pump station, you heard about where the treatment plant's going, and that's all bundled into that 537 plan, which is a planning document that DEP requires municipal authorities to create and maintain annually.
Questions? Nope. Anything else you want to share, Kurt?
Would you like me to just kind of run through some of the highlights of the engineer's report that we issue monthly, or
yeah, if you'd like.
Particular items?
Yeah, things that the public might find of interest.
Sure. I think I can start off with the 2026 road program. It's hard to believe that we're here again this year. We were here around this time last year talking about the 2025 road program. So this is the continuation of trying to comprehensively pave borough roads. In 2025, there was 7 miles approximately of borough roads that were resurfaced. I think that job could not have gone any better than it did. What we're doing now is preparing to go out for public bid for the 2026 portion of road paving. We hope to have the project out to bid sometime, probably bid it sometime in December, try to get contracts awarded sometime in January, and then try to begin the work sometime in the spring when the weather's conducive for paving operations. So it's 7 miles planned. It's really like wards 3 and 4, which are, above West Palmer, kind of the top half of the borough. We'd focused on the bottom half in 2025. These are most of the remaining roads that are not planned for utility work to occur. So we've carefully coordinated since the beginning of this comprehensive program with utility companies like PECO and the MMA, who have gas lines that they need to replace, gas laterals that they need to replace, and water mains that need to be replaced, or water laterals and other facilities. So, and as you know, the borough has requirements for when utility companies come in and perform that work. They have to pave at least the travel lanes to which they excavate for their lines. So when those utility roads that aren't on this list come through for the utility work being done, the utility companies will at least pave half those roads, and we would recommend the borough try to work with them to pave the full width of those roads. So the goal, again, is to have all the roads in I'm not going to say more than one more year because Helen will get mad at me. We're going to try to.
I will.
We want to try to get them all paved by next year, whether it's working with utility companies, depending on what their schedules are. We can't control that all the time, but we're encouraging them to try to get their work done next year, and they've been super cooperative. We've had great success working with the MMA and PECO on that. So, we do have a road list available, and I believe it's going to be put onto the website.
It is.
So it's something that people can look up, and if there's any questions, again, we're available to answer any of those. I can give an update quickly on the Manor Park Senior Center parking lot. As you know, there were at least 3 different funding sources that were secured to try and reconstruct that parking lot that's in dire need of reconstruction. We got a preliminary report today from the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority, because tied into that Cloverleaf property that we talked about, the remediation that it's going through, we kind of pointed out to the Redevelopment Authority that this portion of land where the parking lot is the same parcel as the overall Cloverleaf site. So they went out and did some additional environmental testing to make sure that there weren't any contaminants. Now, there's still landfill material underneath the parking lot. They did confirm that. That's why there is that settlement that exists out there. And we talked a little bit about that. I believe we gave an update on some of the geotechnical work that we did to come up with a solution on how to build a parking lot that will hopefully hold up. And I can go into more details about the thought process behind the planned approach for that. But the good news is, in that portion of the property, there were no contaminants in the eyes of like hazardous material. There's construction debris, concrete, brick, wood, things like that. But they didn't find anything, hazardous as far as, there's no arsenic or petroleum products or anything like that that they identified in the piece that has the parking lot on it. So that's great news. That update came in today. So we're continuing to develop the design plans and secure the permits. And then the goal is to try to get that project also out for public bid and constructed sometime in early 2026, and as soon as the weather allows in the springtime. We continue to work on the Public Works facility investigation. So more to come on that. We don't have a lot to provide as far as an update there, but there are a lot of things in motion, including seeking out grant funding to potentially create a formal Public Works facility. So I don't think I need to go through all of these updates. I will mention quickly, we talked about the accreditation of the levee. That was obviously a very huge achievement. We continuously check the FEMA website to see if FEMA has updated the flood mapping. It's still not updated. We still haven't got an answer out of when that will be updated, but that could happen at any time. So curious to see when that occurs and excited that that is going to occur in the near future. I'm skipping through a few of these, but another one I wanted to mention is the Borough Police Sally Port is getting ready to begin construction. That should start in the next few weeks. So if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's going to be located outside of this building. And a Sally Port is like a secured, fenced-in area with, garage door type entrance. So police vehicles can come in if they have people that have been arrested. They can now transport them from this secured, enclosed Sally Port into the building. It'll have basic features, but also some sophisticated features such as electronic locks and surveillance cameras and things like that. So I think there is some motions on the agenda related to that this evening. We are tracking the state budget situation. As you know, we don't have a state budget yet, but that doesn't typically slow down the schedule for grant applications. So even though the budget's not in place and the allocations and appropriations aren't established yet, as time passes, you still have to submit grants by certain dates and timelines. So we're pursuing a lot of different grants and tracking some of the upcoming grants you'll hear more about in the near future. But there continues to be a lot of opportunity for Morrisville to capitalize on some of these grant programs, some of which are very specific, as you know, like traffic signal specific ones. We're still pursuing those to improve the traffic signals throughout town, and others which are broader, like the LSA grant is something we have a number of applications that we're planning on submitting or resubmitting from last year's round. So we never lose focus on pursuing the grants. That's a big opportunity that the borough should always try to keep applying for. We've had great success over the years.
Just to clarify, that we have had a lot of money coming into us for multiple projects, and I know just for the public, Gilmore and Associates has been very instrumental in getting us those dollars. They know how to write the grants, they know how to get the money to us, and that has enabled us to do a lot of the projects. Prior to Mr. Dillon's coming, I think, Kurt, you can confirm this, no one really pursued grants.
It's kind of been like ebbs and flows throughout our tenure with the borough, but I will say this has been the most aggressive that the borough's pursued grants, and I think it's been very successful. I think there's still pending opportunities from seeds that have been planted over the last year or so, but it's been great. The Manor Park Playground was a project that was around for a very long time, and it's nice to see that project actually be funded and actually be constructed. So it shows that when you're always constantly pushing for the grants, you have a pretty good probability of getting it and seeing projects come to reality. All the levee work, that was funded. Those grants were from 5-6 years ago, maybe longer.
Yeah, it takes a while.
It does.
But then once it starts coming in, then tax dollars are not used to get these projects rolling.
Right.
So we thank you for that, Kurt. Anybody have any questions for Kurt?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Borough manager report.
I
just like to add that the state senator's office and the state representative's office sees that this council is getting projects done, so they're willing to give you more money because they know you can get the job done. So I think we're on a roll, and hopefully we can continue that. My only comment is that staff is working, like I said last month, on the 2026 budget, trying to project the year-end revenue and year-end expenses. The chief has provided us with his requests. I'll be talking with John later shortly about his needs. But if council has anything that they would like to see done, please send Virginia or myself an email, and we'll include that in the budget as best as possible. And as well as any resident that sees anything that they'd like to see done, please send us an email, and we'll try and focus on it.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback off of Mr. Dillon. So when the grants come in, if you are awarded a grant and then the county or the state finds that you cannot continue the project or the project cannot be completed, they've tied that money up, and they become very unhappy because that money could have been used for some other municipality for some other project. And so then that makes them very leery for the next time you apply for a grant. So the fact that we are getting the grants, we're moving on the grants, and projects are completing with the grants, they're more likely to give us more money and more grants. Right, Kurt? Yeah. So, okay, finally, solicitor report.
Yeah, very simply, I mean, actually, a lot of the stuff we've been working on the last month is on your agenda coming up here. So, is it working? It is on. Any better?
Yes.
All right. Can you hear me now? There we go. Okay. So, a lot of what I was saying was not much to report on our end for this specific section. A lot of what we've been working on over the last month with the borough's manager's office is on our agenda here tonight, specifically with regard to the solid waste contract. The only thing I would add to what you discussed earlier, Helen, my kids love glow sticks for Halloween. Put them on for visibility. So, run around the neck. You can do the bracelets. They have a good time with those. So my kids love that. So be safe and have a happy Halloween.
Okay, police chief report.
Good evening, everyone. So I know he's gone, and I just wanted to bring up Matt Morris again, our newest officer, and how pleased we are to have him. Just a little background on Matt Morris. He spent his last year in Rockledge Borough. Prior to that, he did about 7 years in Wildwood, New Jersey. And throughout the selection process, we were overly impressed with him. He has an outstanding service record. He interviewed very well. He scored very high, and we're excited to have him on a team. So anybody who has not met him will. He's in training right now. We're looking at probably 8 to 12 weeks of training. He's on midnights. So you won't see him yet, but you will see him around in the near future. Just a couple things to touch on. Halloween, thank you for bringing that up. You will see some extra patrols out there that night. I'll be out there. We'll probably have 3 or 4 extra cars just to ensure that everything is going well and people are safe. Our trunk or treat we touched on. We still need more trunks. So if anybody wants to come by, it is this Thursday, 5 to 8. The trunk or treat is probably 5 to 6 or so when we have a movie that will be playing. But we need more people out there with trunks giving out candy. So if you can show up, we can make room. And this Saturday is also our drug take back. So it's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's right downstairs. It's on this side of the building. And we will be taking any prescription or otherwise drugs from anyone in the community that wants to drop them off to us. There'll be a representative from our agency and also from Compass Church. And again, this Saturday, the 25th, 10 to 2 p.m. Last month when we were here, we talked about Nixle and GoGov, and I think that we were looking for just a little bit of an update. I touched on it last month, and my recommendation I'll give you. Again, they're both very similar in their capabilities. They're both very similar in price, which is about $6,000 to $7,000 a year, depending on what you want to add or how many messages that you want to pay for to put out. In my opinion, I don't know if this is something that we necessarily need to go after right now. I think we do a pretty good job with getting our messages out to the public through our social media and our website, and the fact that we're such a small borough and there's a lot of good personal communication. It's something we could definitely talk about, in the future. We can go through all the nuts and bolts, but I don't know if it's something that the police department, we certainly are able to get our messages, but this is something that can service the entire town. And I don't, we need to fully understand the needs of Public Works across the hall, the library, and, so on, to see if it's beneficial for that price point, if it's going to provide anything in addition to what we're already doing with what we have with social media and our website. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up is I just wanted to take a minute to commend our officers. About a week ago, we, on midnight shift, about 1 o'clock in the morning, our officers responded to a shots fired call. They arrived on scene. They found a victim that had a gunshot wound to his chest, and it was obviously very chaotic. This is something that was evolving very fast, and the two officers that we had did an outstanding job with crime scene preservation, evidence collection and preservation, and securing that scene. We were able to get in some detectives from the county DA's office. It was kind of an all hands on deck. I got the call. I was here. We brought a couple extra officers in, and it was an excellent display of police work. The investigation that followed, probably more than 100 hours of police work in just 1 week, and through the investigative efforts of our officers, who the Bucks County DA's office couldn't say enough good things about, because they came in, they wrote a search warrant, we executed it that morning. We tried to get out a lot of information, or as much as we could, and on social media as to what we were doing, but everyone, I hope, would understand that it's an active investigation. We can only release so much information at a time, but we tried to send the message that, this was an isolated incident. There was no threat to public safety. We did what we had to do out on the street. We executed a warrant. That was unsuccessful, but however, less than a week later, that subject was apprehended in New Jersey, who was on the run, and that is a direct result of the initial responding officers and the subsequent investigation from our officers and our partners at the Bucks County DA's office and the United States Marshal's office. So I think that we are so fortunate, the staff that we have. We're a young police department, but they get the job done, and this was just a prime example. So kudos to them. I think that's all I have. Any questions?
Chief. I guess it starts with leadership, Chief.
Yeah.
There's no I in team.
There isn't.
That's Chief. Chief. I'm sorry.
Is there an I in leadership? There might, I don't know.
Hold on.
Too many letters.
Did you want to go?
We have cameras around the borough.
Scott.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Will they get accommodations for that?
They will. I would like to do a write-up for the officers that were involved. There's quite a few, and everybody had their own role, but this is something that I like to talk about because I think everybody should know.
Okay.
But there will be something that'll be written and put in their files.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So we have some cameras stationed around the borough. I'm not going to say which one's not working, but there's one that's not working. So if you're going to go steal something, you have to just guess which one's going to catch you. Anyway, the one that's not working is a pretty important camera. Is there any way to get that up?
If you can maybe shoot me a text or an email, let me know which one that is.
Ask Amanda.
I can look into it. Amanda? Okay.
Amanda knows.
Yeah.
They were canvassing the neighborhood for the burglary on Osborne, and I asked her about a couple cameras in the town, and she said that one hasn't been working for a while. And
she knows just about where everyone is in town because she's out there.
She knows which one.
I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. That's it.
That is it, but thank you, Chief. And it does start at the top, so, I know there's no I in team, but they're being led in the right direction. So, yes, wonderful team. Thank you.
Chief, real fast, I'll be at trunk or treat. I'll decorate my truck.
You'll have
too.
a trunk? Excellent.
Yes.
You pick your spot. Thank you.
So just to also thank you, Barb Bauer, for all your efforts on civil service. And Jane Berger, I know you're on civil service. And I'm sorry, I don't know everybody. Matt Wiedenhafer and Clay Aberts and Scott for all the work that's a volunteer. And I know it takes a lot of effort to put a list together so that we can hire officers. So thank you for your drive and time. Secondly, for the police chief's report, if nobody noticed, there was some vandalism done on the mill at the corner of Delmar and the Bridge Street, which is kind of sad. Our Public Works, thank you, John, was able to take all that graffiti off. But I don't know what the camera showed or what people had, but we are offering a $1,000 reward if we can apprehend who did that, because we need to stop the destruction of our town.
Yeah, I was over at the corner, Hot Rides today, and I was spoken to the owner of the building. They have a camera, but it does not hit that corner. Our LPRs, the license plate readers, are specific to where those plates would be traveling, so they don't expand beyond that. And I did go over to the smoke shop as well, but I have a call at the corporate because they're not able to access the cameras from inside the building. The only place I haven't gone over to was the other side yet, where Concerto is and that building, but I'm going to check there tomorrow. But I looked out there, I didn't see any cameras, so it doesn't look like there's going to be anything that covers that specific corner, but we're still looking.
So if anybody in the public saw anything, please let the chief know. Thank you.
Just real quick, one thing I forgot to add on the agenda as it lists, there was a 6:30 p.m. executive session. We actually did not have that executive session. There was no executive session prior to tonight's meeting.
Okay, on to the consent agenda. Approval of the bill list from 9/1 to 9/30 in the amount of $499,842.78. Acknowledge receipt of $59,589.21 from the PA Department of the Auditor General and approve distribution of the funds to the Volunteer Firefighters Relief Association. Approval to accept the resignation of Councilperson Melissa Johnson from the 2nd Ward. Approval to accept the Verizon Cable Franchise Renewal Agreement. Catherine, would you make the motion? Marie, would you second?
Second.
First and a second. Any discussion? Anything from the public?
We have a date of a resignation. Was it the 15th, I believe?
I don't recall.
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet.
We'll note it in the minutes.
Okay.
10:15.
Okay.
Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Action item. So the first action item, a lot of the debate was whether this is picking a new waste management, trash collection, I'm sorry. So one of the things that we were discussing is whether to have a 1 day a week or 2 day a week. We did decide on 2 day a week. So the motion is call for a motion to consider awarding solid waste collection contract to Republic Services for 2 day a week manual collection and to authorize the borough manager to execute the necessary documents. Scott, would you make the motion?
So moved.
Luke, would you second?
Second.
Motion in the second. Any discussions? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Luke, would you read the next motion?
All for a motion to approve entering into a 1-year agreement with Huff Associates to collect and submit the 2025 recycling performance grant data for $4,000.
Andrew, would you second? Motion in the second. Any discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Dennis, would you read the next motion?
Call for motion to authorize Gilmore and Associates, Inc. to proceed with the bidding, the Morrisville 2026 road program, to include various roads in wards 3 and 4 of the borough. A full list and map of the roads to be included in the 2026 road program will be available on the borough website.
Marie, would you second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I think Kurt did a great job explaining. Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Marie, would you read the next motion?
Call for a motion to authorize 215 Secure to proceed with installation of the door lock security equipment for the Borough Sallyport project as identified in the proposal for a total cost of $8,135.
Dennis, would you second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Andrew, would you read the next motion?
Call for motion to authorize HPT Systems to proceed with installation of the security cameras for Borough Hall and the Borough Police Department as identified in their proposal for a total of cost of $20,300.
Catherine, would you second? Motion and a second. Discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Scott, would you read the next motion?
I call for a motion to adopt ordinance to eliminate the parking restrictions on South Pennsylvania Avenue between Anderson Avenue and Brooks Avenue.
Luke, would you second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do. This is something that should have been done 30 years ago, and it wasn't. I understand it was there because the Cloverleaf Diner was open and it was like tight with the traffic and whatnot, but I can't even remember when the Cloverleaf closed, and we have no parking signs down there by the cemetery. I can't believe that's getting done now, but it is. That's it.
Well, we're cleaning things up, Scott. It takes a while. Anybody else? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
I think it's.
Can you just
Go up
step
to the
up?
podium.
Could you just give your name and address, street number, name?
Sorry, Mike, 800 block South Pennsylvania Avenue. Mike Touch. I think that's great that you won't have parking between the cemetery and Brooks Avenue. But is it necessary to put no parking signs up? Because that is like a really beautiful, dedicated, big part of this town. And we have so many signs down there.
We're taking them down.
We're taking them
You're
down.
thinking of taking the signs down?
Yes.
You're going to allow parking there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I got it backwards.
That's okay. No problem.
All right. All right. Thank
But
you.
we're happy that you're happy about that.
Well, I don't think you should have cars parked in front of the cemetery there. That is like a sacred part of America, having that cemetery and loading it with trucks for things.
Not trucks, for the residences.
But there's nobody parking there really now. Very rarely we see cars parked over there.
Yeah, because there's a no parking
Because
sign.
there's a no parking sign.
So they have somewhere to park now, you know? Why would you allow something to go on that's just been normal? Why would you change it? You're going to need the parking in the future, probably.
Probably, because once they clear out all the trees and then whatever they decide to go there, they will probably need that space in order to have cars parked there. Or one of the other things that the engineer is looking at is the traffic calming study on South Pennsylvania Avenue, where they will be
Closing the roads up a little.
closing the roads up a little bit. So once they do that, then they'll need extra parking. So it's part of a bigger plan, and like all the little pieces have to fall into place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We respect the sacred ground with the cemetery, but with South Pennsylvania Avenue, the cemetery is surrounded by a street, different street names, and there's cars parked over there, and
Okay, thank you.
they're pretty respectful to the people, to the cemetery.
I forgot where we left off. Did we have a vote? Yeah, okay, so we had the vote. Okay, so now, oh, we needed to vote. I'm sorry. I got distracted. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 7-0. Non-agenda public comment, George Helmstetter. Hi, George, how are you?
Wonderful.
Hi, George.
Hi. So, George Helmstetter, South Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm calling as I'm coming to be the town complainer about the trucks. I just wanted to point out that since I've lived there for 6 years, I've had 2 trucks pull down my internet wires off the street. I've had a truck crash into my neighbor's house across the street, and more recently, a truck pulled down a power pole over here by the train tracks, which popped the breaker in my house a couple blocks away. So I'm very sensitive to the amount of problems they cause. And more recently, I worked from home on Friday. It was absurd how many trucks went by our houses that day. From 10 to 11, I counted 18. And just for me to do something about it, I take videos of the trucks, and I also write down the companies' names if I don't take a video, and I call those companies. I sent Chief one of the letters where they reacted. I'll get like 5 reactions out of like 50 of them. But it gives me a little bit of satisfaction that I can do something about it. And lately it's gotten worse and worse and worse. In the middle of the night, they rumble by up until 1 o'clock in the morning. There's got to be some kind of plan that we can initiate. And I'm coming to you guys to, if it's a money thing, if he needs more support for more officers, more patrols, we got to do something because it's gotten crazy. One thing I did today, I did submit a change to Google because a lot of them say that the Google Maps is taking them down that way. I did submit a report to Google, so we might get some feedback, which I'll just direct them to the chief, to ban trucks on South Pennsylvania Avenue. That's my main document. By the way, I just wanted to show you how many notes I take. I write down the names in the morning. Instead of getting ready for work, I'm sitting there looking at who's going by and writing down the names so I know who to call that day. There's just so many. It's just unbelievable. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, George. Gary Taylor. Hello, Gary.
Lee Taylor, Hamilton Boulevard. I'm sorry I missed part of your meeting. I was teaching a finance seminar. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and one day I will have a mansion in heaven because I have accepted Jesus' sacrifice for my sins on Calvary's cross. I hope this will be true for all of you also. This mansion will be much different and better than the houses we currently live in here. This commitment to Jesus caused me to be a chaplain for over 26 years and to bring the soldier to God and God to the soldier. An important part of that chaplaincy was to counsel soldiers who thought they were mistreated or in trouble and intervene for them with the commander as I was on a special staff, or send them to SJA or JAG, which is the legal, for further help. I gave them a voice. This is why I've been representing my owner-occupant residents or my tenants here for the past 6 months, giving them a voice to you, the ones with all the power. In Morrisville, you are the kings here. You refuse to allow the borough code enforcement officer to inspect your own homes for safety like you're requiring for 45% of your constituents. So you are imposing inspections on others you refuse to allow in your own homes. You're acting like kings, and I say to you, no kings in our town.
No, let him go.
Other landlords have... Mr. Taylor, I'm not a king, okay? Kings inherit the throne. I was elected. I am not a king, so don't call me a king. I'm not a king, okay? I'm not royalty.
That's what President Trump said.
Please, I am not a king. I don't care what Trump says. I'm not Trump. I am not a king. I was
Each one
elected.
of you are, but you have power, is what I'm saying.
Scott.
Other landlords have many reasons this annual tenant residence inspection is a bad ordinance or code. But my biggest problems are, one, your unfair invasion of renters' privacy of their own homes. Two, discrimination against them in the name of safety while ignoring the safety of the 55% of residents who are homeowners. And three, your annual tenant tax of $100 on those who can least afford it. You are imposing inspections and taxes on your subjects that are exempt for yourselves from. You have refused to listen to your renter constituents or to the professional community business persons, that's the landlords, who improve Morrisville homes and provide housing for tenants who have this need. We supply an important resource for this community, often working with the Bucks County Housing Link, Bucks County Opportunity Council, the WISE Rapid Rehousing Project, and HUD. We keep people from living under our bridges or in tents on our sidewalks and provide an option for those who simply don't want the responsibilities of home ownership and appreciate the option we as landlords offer them. Someone will surely attack me on Facebook or elsewhere for my faith in this matter or for defending the renters in our community. But let me remind you that Jesus threw the money changers out of the temple, and St. Paul wouldn't leave his jail cell in Philippi until the borough council members there came and personally apologized to him for their wrongful actions against him. I'm sorry you have refused to listen to us. You will soon tell me that my time is up, but because you won't listen to us or your tenant constituents, in another 2 weeks, unfortunately, your time may be up. Remember your stubborn resistance to hearing us out and accepting our help on this issue when counting your votes on Election Day. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Okay. Anyone else, public comment? Okay. So just... Chief, in regards to the truck traffic, with the hiring of the new officer, that will help to have extra officers doing trucks now, correct? Okay. Once he's off of training. So we were down an officer, and so now with the new officer just hired, once he's done his training, that will open up an officer to be down there more often. So hopefully that will alleviate. I too have seen a lot of trucks down there. The traffic study, Kurt, that all those traffic calming devices early next year will be implemented, correct? So hopefully those traffic calming devices will help alleviate some of the trucks, because it'll be more difficult for them to speed down that Pennsylvania Avenue. Anything else like that we have that will?
And even without that officer, the officers are still trying to get down there on a daily basis as much as they can. Sergeant Estamani and Officer Krasnowski were down there when they stopped the trucks this morning. And I was on the other end on Bridge Street. We have an issue over there coming out of Britain. But we're still trying to get to it when we can to get the call for service. And next week, we're going to have another detail with Corporal Alice to try to attack just that area. So
yeah.
We're getting a little better. We have an officer that's been back from injury. He's back, so our staffing is allowing us to getting out of the vacation season as well. So we're trying to organize another detail down there to specifically focus on that. But we are doing it as often as possible.
And just as a reminder, you may see the truck, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't an officer on Post Road that already ticketed him and there's no other place that he can go except straight through. So it is a state road. I know we do have, you know, a limit of the weight, but if the truck decides to go down, there's nothing we can do other than enforce our ordinance. Listen, I commend you for that. God bless, you know, so. Scott, okay. I'll wait till the council members. Mayor comments?
Good evening, everyone. I will keep it short and sweet for you all, but yes, we have Halloween coming up, so hope you all celebrate safely when you're out there. Just, again, like everyone's been saying, just keep track of the little ones, keep them visible. I like the glow stick idea too. And remember, this Thursday is our trunk or treat right here at Borough Hall, put on by Morrisville's finest over there. I'll be out there with my truck or car, not frunk it is. We got Dennis. What other council? Come on, we need a few more. But anyone else out in the if you'd like to participate, please send a message either to myself over to Nicole down at the police department so we can make this very successful for the children. Also, last year we did that costume drive where we did used and gently used and new costumes. I still have a lot from there, so I will be putting them out at Trunk or Treat as well. So if you're in need of a costume for Halloween, I'll have what we have left over from last year, which is quite a bit still. And if you would like to bring some for others to choose from, feel free. Hang them right on the racks. So thank you all. Hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council comments. I'm going to start this one off, though. So in terms of the rental registration program, our code enforcement is handling that. Borough Council doesn't really have anything to do with it other than the ordinance was passed in 2017. It was turned over to code. Mr. Dillon, the borough manager, decided that, he implemented it in Bristol, and so it was implemented in Morrisville. Code comes to us periodically to tell us what we are missing in terms of trying to get the town ordinances proper. We do have ordinances that are lacking in some things, and they're working on fixing them. We just approved for our solicitor and code to work on about 5 topics in order to tighten up the ordinances. So if there is something that is in the rental registration program that is not what code thinks should be happening, they will come to us and then adjustments will be made. So that's all I have to say on the topic. Does anybody else?
I do.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Catherine.
Yes. We will be having a Parks and Recreation meeting next Tuesday here, probably be our last for the season. And I want to thank all the people who came out and have supported that committee. And just a little personal note, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. A year ago, last October, I went for an annual, just my normal mammogram, and I found out I had cancer, breast cancer. I am standing here now because of early intervention. I have no cancer. And thank you. So, remind everybody, your best friends, whoever, to get their mammogram because it does save your life. No one has to die from breast cancer anymore. And I want to thank several council people who had offered to do anything that could help me if I needed and gave me support. And I really appreciate all of you doing that. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Glad to hear.
Excuse me for one. Oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I'm too glad to hear that too. Many friends near and dear to my heart who also went through that. And just a kudos also to Ivan's House, who last week did free mammogram checks for men and women. So great job, Darletta and the team over there. It was great. Sad I couldn't stay for it with the start of my new job, but it's important. So the first thing to do is go to get checked. So thank you.
Anyone else on council? Marie, go ahead.
First, I want to say, anyone who does social media after I speak and wants to put a comment up, you're kind of wasting your finger or thumb energy because if it's behind what I'm saying, because I never look at it. So I also want to say number 2 is please remember, I'm asking since I've been on council for everybody to pick the 13th day of every month to try to go green as best you can. Be greatly appreciated. It's not for us, it's for our children. The third thing is there's been some scuttlebutt about our borough manager and no, whatever you want to call us, it's flawless. Okay, no situation, no anything is flawless. Council works well together. We respect one another, and we're working for the good of all of you. I don't think any of us here is it for any of our gain. But I wanted to say that regarding the borough manager, somebody says, well, he's just part-time. If we have someone that's part-time and he's doing, or she, doing a better job than somebody who's here full-time and overtime, I don't understand. That is something I will never really understand. And I think what a lot of the public and other people who are having a problem with this, what they're not understanding is all the subordinates and the people that work at Borough Hall, every time you get a new borough manager, they kind of have to start all over again because everybody has their own way of doing things. I mean, just think if you had like if you work for yourself and you have 3 customers and everybody wants it different, you're like, oh my God, I forgot, I just left so-and-so's house. So there's a lot that we need to consider before we start to complain. And again, I'm just asking everyone to stop and think, and I'm planting the seed for you to think about it. And fourth thing, I had no idea that George was going to be here because I totally support Helen and whomever else about South Pennsylvania Avenue. I was there one day for a half hour in the afternoon, and I couldn't believe the extended tractor trailers. There's a sign on one end, sign on the other, nothing over 1 ton when you know they're much more than 1 ton. So I'm going to continue to make a report on my free time. And so if anybody sees me sitting in a Buick LaCrosse, come over and say hello, because I'll be there with my pen and paper and I'll be taking reports and I can communicate with George because it's horrible. And my heart goes out to everyone living in those homes in that area. It is horrible and it's unexcusable. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Anybody else?
May I?
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
So a couple things I want to address, Mr. Taylor, your comment, and I meant to address this the last time that you mentioned it. I hope people in the audience and residents understand this is not an annual tenant tax. It's a rental license. So wanted to get that out there. Halloween, my favorite time of year. So I'm looking forward to it. I've decorated the house. Kids, I love when the kids come over. I had kids come take pictures with what we've just done now. So again, I hope everyone's careful. I'm going to actually try and buy some of those glow sticks and give them out to the kids that night too. So looking forward to it. I hope everybody has a safe Halloween and thank you.
Anyone else? No one?
Awesome job on the decoration.
Yeah, the house looks fantastic. All right, so that's it. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Seconded?
Second.
Meeting over.